I know it's been like 3 or 4 weeks now since I posted a video, but I've been spending a ton of time trying to get my boat and gear dialed in for the season. Now, if you guys watched my 2024 season preview video, you know that I'm fishing the Michigan Team Championship Series, and I'm extremely excited to fish that tournament series. It's a 4-event series. I'm fishing with my buddy Nathan, and I've kind of readjusted my mindset to have this singular competitive focus. Now, I've not fished a tournament series in probably 5 or 6 years with any sort of serious, dedicated effort. And so I'm excited to go and approach this series with a real focus to have success competing against some of the best teams in the state. One of the things that I think is really unique about tournament fishing is the different mindset that you have to go into these events with, as opposed to just fun fishing, where you can go out and catch fish in any way that you want to catch them with no real goal in mind. You just go out catching fish. With a tournament series, you have to go out, have a target weight, have kind of a game plan in mind to go out and be willing to try different things to get fish to bite. One of the best parts about this tournament series is that I'm partnering with Omnia as the title sponsor to bring you guys all of this content. So all the behind the scenes stuff, prepping for these events, the practice days of me on the water, and then my tournament days with a full breakdown of how we caught those fish. So what's really cool about this is Omnia is working with me to give you guys trial access to their premium app. What that allows you to do is have access to all of their maps, all of their map layers, such as water clarity, temperature, bottom hardness, and all these other awesome features that are available in the Omnia Premium app, all with a free trial. So if you guys are interested in checking out the Omnia Premium app, go down. There's going to be a link in the description below for a free trial download of the Omnia Premium Pro. You guys can get in there, play with it, and utilize some of the features that I'm going to be talking about in today's video. Now, really the basis of this video is to break down those 4 events, what I expect to play in the 4 events this season. Because quite honestly, I think these 4 tournaments are going to be quite different from each other in the ways that we're going to have to approach these tournaments. But what's cool is that I think smallmouth are going to be a big factor in all 4 of these tournaments. We're going to Hubbard Lake in June 9th. Then we go to Sagona Bay, June 23rd. Then we go to Holton Lake, which is the middle of the state. That's a largemouth and smallmouth fishery, on July 7th. And then we wrap it up on Lake St. Clair for August 17th and 18th for the championship event. What I'm going to be doing in today's video is kind of breaking down what I expect to play, how I'm going to be using the Omnia Premium app to dial in and prepare for these events, and what I kind of expect to be the deal going into these tournaments. Now, what we're going to start with is the Hubbard Lake tournament. Of all the 4 tournaments, I think this is going to be the most diverse of the events. This is the one that I think you can go in and have success fishing your strengths. If you're a really good sight fisherman, it's going to fall right on a new moon. You can do the sight fishing thing. If you'd like to just fish shallow and stock fish in shallow water, you can do that. Fishing for shallow roamers, I think you can basically go out off the break and scope fish. This is one of those tournaments where if you're a smallmouth guy that just likes to catch them, it's going to be a big, big bag. I think it's going to take like 25 to 27 pounds to win this tournament. I do believe that spawn fish are going to be a really, really big factor. You're going to have to know where fish are going to be spawning, where fish are going to be on bed or bedding areas, where you can get up and catch some fish really, really quick in the morning and then kind of back off and just do the roaming fish deal. The guy that can figure out where he has 3 to 5 big bed fish are, and then can pick off a couple random roamers, is going to have a lot of success in that tournament. Of all the tournaments, this is the one I'm also most excited for. I have some experience on Hubbard. I have some pretty good understanding of how these fish lay out. I have some tournament experience up there as well, so I know kind of the good areas on the lake. I'm actually going up this weekend, though, to kind of dial in, get reacclimated, understand the way the lake sets up, because year to year it sets up a little bit differently. And then I'm going to be spending that Thursday through Sunday up there really fine-tuning, dialing in, and locating where those tournament caliber fish are. As we go into that event, I think the water clarity layer is going to be critically important, especially for me not being a great sight fisherman. I need to find those cleaner sections of water where I can still effectively kind of sight fish. Or conversely, finding the dirtier areas on the lake where I can power fish my way through there with success when other guys are up trying to bed fish. Now, ideally, I'm going to have a couple fish located on beds. I'm going to have some areas where I can kind of roam with a hair jig or a tube to get some of those better quality bites. maybe even mix in a topwater. And so me going into that event, I'm obviously going to have, your bed fishing staples like your Great Lakes Finesse, drop minnow in a meltdown color. I'm going to have your Excite Minobi in chartreuse. Anytime you're bed fishing, those bright chartreuse style colors are not only going to stand out on the bed, but there's something with chartreuse and smallmouth when they get around bed that these baits are going to probably be a key player. I'm also going to mix in a tube. This Great Lakes Juvie Craw in the motor oil color is going to be a really unique player for me. That motor oil looks like a lot of those rusty crayfish in that lake, which is a really key forage type, especially as those fish are pushing shallow. And then if I'm sight fishing them, like a hair jig or a hellgrammite on a ball head, something I can cast away from me, get in front of those fish, a really small profile, is going to allow me to have a lot of stealth and kind of get this bait in front of fish that are seeing a bunch of baits, especially leading up to that event. I don't know how much topwater is going to play, but anytime you're fishing around bedfish, it can help show you where fish are located. Fish this bait around. It's a walking bait, Excite Bait's Heckler. You can cover a lot of water, get fish to come up and show themselves, and then go back there and pick them off with some of these other finesse baits that I just mentioned to you guys. But I think for me, Hubbard's the one I'm really, really excited about. There's a ton of things you can do. I can back off the break, and I can catch them using forward facing. I can catch them up shallow, roaming. I can find them on beds. There's just a ton of things that are going to really fit into my wheelhouse as we get up to the Hubbard event. The second event on the list, and this is probably the one I'm the least excited for, but most people would expect me to kind of have an upper hand on the field, is going to be the Saginaw Bay. This is going to be the biggest question mark on the series, and I think is going to be the make or break for a lot of guys, because it falls basically right on a full moon. Okay, so it falls June 23rd. There, I believe, is going to be a full moon leading into this event, and so I think you're going to have this big wave of the final bedfish of the season. So the guys that are going to have success are probably going to find some fish on bed. They might catch some post spawners near those spawning areas, especially if the wind lays down and you can get to those locations. A lot of that cleaner water, we're launching at the mouth of the Saginaw Bay, which is like a 30-plus mile run to get to any of those clean water bedding areas, is going to be the big X factor. If you can get there, if you have fish located on beds or you have some post spawners located in those areas, I think you can have a lot of success looking for bedding or post spawn smallmouth. Really, the Charity Islands, Bayport area, those historical good areas on the bay are going to be the big players, but the big X factor is going to be the wind. Now, for me, this is where that Omnia Premium is going to come in critical, because I'm going to need to understand how is the wind going to blow, how is it going to affect some of the areas. If it's blowing consistently into some of these areas, those areas might be dirty, they might be blown out. Water clarity, again, is going to be a really big factor as we go into this tournament. But for me, this is the biggest X Factor event. It's going to make or break my season. It's going to be one of those tournaments where you can catch post spawners, you can catch spawners. If the wind blows really hard, it might lock you to the river, and then you have to totally change game plans. There's just a ton of different factors you have to consider and try to determine what's worth it. Are you fishing for a win? Are you fishing for points? Are you fishing to just stay in it? There's a ton of different things you have to consider going into an event on a giant body of water like this, especially one where you're either going to have to make a big run, or you're going to stay in the river or stay in the near area catching largemouth. So while most people might think that this is going to be an event I'm super excited about, the Saginaw River and the Saginaw Bay is my home body of water. It's probably my favorite place in the world to fish. It's my least favorite place to try and fish a tournament because I don't know what to expect. The wind is such a big player. It's going to impact what you're able to do. And so for me, that wind is going to be really the critical deciding factor in kind of how I prepare for this tournament. Now, if I am able to get out and do the bed fishing thing, again, same baits are going to play. The Minobi, whether I'm bed fishing or catching post spawners, is going to be a key player on a drop shot. That's really about what's going to be the big player if I'm smallmouth fishing. And if I'm largemouth fishing, I don't know, maybe flipping a jig, flipping a creature bait, throwing a bait up shallow. I'm not really sure what to expect if I do get locked to the river. That's where having a team is going to be really, really nice, because Dirds is great on the river. I'm pretty good on the big water, and we can kind of dial in and bounce stuff off each other to have a lot of success. So that's the event that I'm the least excited for, because there's so many variables in play, and really wind is the big X factor. As we start to talk about Holton, the third event of the season, I'm really excited for this one. This is one I've already been putting some time in on. I've been putting some time in graphing, looking for those areas where that good grass is going to be growing, because it's going to be a post-spawn summertime derby for smallmouth and largemouth on the big water. Okay, Holton Lake is the biggest inland body of water in the state of Michigan. It's huge. I believe it's like 25,000 plus acres, and it's a big bowl. Honestly, it was like a big Lake Okeechobee with a ton of offshore vegetation. One of the other question marks is that the event is going to be July 7th. So you're going to have all of that 4th of July traffic out there. It's really going to impact where you're going to be able to fish effectively, what's not going to have other pleasure boaters all over it, having run over it, all of practice, and how these fish are going to still react to our baits. For me, I think I'm going to really use the vegetation layer on the Omnia Premium Pro, looking for those good areas of grass, those hard grass edges, nearby deep water that these fish can kind of set up and feed, and then push back off into that deeper water area as they kind of get run over by the boats. You need to find those areas where those fish can kind of hunker down, feed up really quick, and then push back off into those deeper water areas. So using that vegetation layer is going to be critically important for me when I'm studying for Houghton. Some of the baits that I expect to play are going to be a Nico rig, going to be a jig. Flipping a jig is one of my favorite ways to catch summertime fish, especially when they get in that grass. But really just your traditional largemouth, smallmouth summertime baits. You know, a jig, a Nico rig, maybe a topwater mixed in, fishing around those grass patches early in the morning. But I expect that topwater bite not to last very long, especially with all the boat traffic. But jig, Nico rig, those two are going to play for me for those summer post-spawn and summertime fish. And then we wrap the season up on Lake St. Clair in mid-August. Now, mid-August on St. Clair is probably one of the best times to be out there if you are a summertime smallmouth fisherman. You are going to catch a bazillion fish that week. There's going to be a bunch of fish to be caught, a bunch of big fish, and I would expect that if you don't have 18 pounds, you basically had an issue getting out to where you're fishing. Like 18 pounds is going to be like the bottom line. And really, if you don't have 20 pounds, I don't expect you to really be competitive in this tournament. There's just so many 4+ pound fish in St. Clair. It's just going to be a great way to cap off the season, targeting these summertime smallmouth on St. Clair. I'm going to go into this really, really simple, though. It's going to be a drop shot Minobi in both Sandman and Mango X. These are two of my favorite colors. They were designed for St. Clair and these Great Lakes. These colors are going to catch them. The Sandman Minobi and the Mango X are both going to be really, really key players, as well as, if we get some nice weather, a spy-bait. Now, spy-bait was really born on St. Clair. That's where it got its notoriety, especially up here in the north, and I expect it to continue to be a player this season. I don't have a ton of experience on St. Clair, but it's a place that I have enough experience to be competitive, and then I'm going to go up and spend some time, especially if we're in a great spot in Team of the Year standings. Now, where I expect the premium app for me to be a big player in this tournament is just with the wind. Understanding how the wind is going to impact these areas. These smallmouth will move miles and miles and miles and miles based on the way the wind is blowing across that lake. And so by using their wind mapping and wind heat map, it's going to be critically important to pay attention to going into that tournament to understand how it's going to impact these fish. What areas of the lake are going to be dirty or clean with that water clarity, and a lot of this is going to be also driven by the wind and the way that it sets up on the body of water. So for me, St. Clair, it's going to be a great way to cap off the season, but it's going to be all about finding those better quality fish, those 4.5+ pound fish that will separate you from 22 pounds to like 24, 25 pounds that's going to take to do really well in that tournament. Now for me, I'm really excited. I think this tournament series sets up in a way that I can have a lot of success, and I'm going into it with this mindset that I am going to really focus a lot of my effort this season in preparing for these tournaments. We have 4 events, like I mentioned: Hubbard, Houghton, Saginaw Bay, and St. Clair, and I'm going into every day on the water this season looking for ways that I can set myself up for success in this tournament series. Now, I'm super excited to work with Omnia. They not only have the premium app, but they have a great shopping platform, and your premium membership gets you a lot of awesome benefits as well on the site, including cash back on your purchases, free shipping, which they have some of the best shipping in the country when it comes to fishing tackle. So if you guys aren't already premium members, go get a free trial to the Omnia Premium app using the link in the description, or just check out the premium program, which you can use down in the description as well. So I hope you guys are as excited as I am for this series. I think you're going to get to see a lot of different sides of the way that I prepare for events or go out and look for fish that you haven't seen in previous videos. And hopefully this is something that you can get behind, you get excited for, to watch all this content as it comes out over the next couple of months. If you guys enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button down below. As always, thank you guys for watching. Take care, tight lines. God bless. Pursue your passion.